Hello, BookTube. It is day 8, I think it is. Part 8 of my massive book haul. Now I've got another stack here. I think we're winding down. There might be another 3, 2, 3. I might be able to break it down into 2, fingers crossed. Let's get started. This one I was quite excited when it was held up. It is Theodore Dreiser Newspaper Days, edited by T.D. Noswich. It's Pennsylvania University Press, and it's 1991, and it's they're doing a sort of complete Dreiser. He best known for, I guess, Sister Carrie and American Tragedy. I think it is American Tragedy. But anyway, no. When I saw this, because it's called Newspaper Days, I thought it was his journalistic writing, but no, it's actually a sort of memoir, but it's the unexpurgated memoir of his newspaper days. There is a volume 1 on the back, it says here. It must be part of the set. It's Theodore Dreiser Journalism, Volume 1, Newspaper Writings, 1892 to 1895. A few weeks ago, Steve Donahue found a collection of his stuff, and I thought, yeah, I do want that. And actually, this is quite nice, because it would, especially if I can get this, and I assume that's volume 1 of his journalism. Don't know, I haven't actually looked it up, but it'd be nice to get that, or all his journalism, and that'd be this would be a very nice companion to it. Here's another one of those print-on-demand ones. You can see that's the style of printing that's always on the spine. But they are cloth, but they're not sewn. It's got the usual stamps in the back there. Let's see what this is. It doesn't have a dust jacket, this, though. The Captain's Widow of Sandwich. Self-Invention and the Life of Hannah Rebecca Burgess, 1834 to 1917, by Megan Taylor Shockley. It's New York University Press, even though it is print on demand. I have no idea what this is about. I don't think I've ever heard of Hannah Rebecca Burgess, so but it looks like it's a biography of some sort. Here's another one of these University of Pennsylvania Press anniversary collections. The Visual and Verbal Sketch in British Romanticism by Richard C. Shah. So these are reprints. This one says reprinted 2016. Originally printed 1998. There's nothing on the back to say, but it is, I think it's just Visual and Verbal Sketch in British Romanticism, however that takes. Here's chapter titles: The Visual Sketch in Britain, Keeping Them Out of Harm's Way, that's in quotation marks, Sketching Female Accomplishments and the Shaping of Gender in Britain. Number 3 is Perverting Female Propriety, Women's Verbal Sketches as Proper Display of Perversion. Sketching Courtship in Women's Novels. And then 5th, final chapter, Resisting Momentality, Wordsworth, Byron, and the Poetic Sketch. So yeah, there we go. Paperback here. Oh, another film book. Performative Histories, Foundational Fictions, Gender and Sexuality in Niskavari Films, Anu Koiven, I think it is. Studies Finnica Historica, number 7. Finnish Literature Society, Helsinki, 2003. Doesn't look like there was a hardcover of it. Let's see what it is here. Films are essential to national imagination and promotional publicity markets. Domestic films, not only as entertaining, exciting, or moving, but also as typical and relevant in different ways. When assessing new films, reviewers make reference to other films and cultural products, as well as social and political issues. Well, if they're good film reviewer, there's many that I've read in the past that, I think there was the Keanu Reeves redid Day the Earth Stood Still. And I remember reading a review, and the reviewer had no clue that was a remake. Anyway. Through such interpretive framings by contemporary and later generations, popular cinema is enabled in both national imagination and endless intertextual and intermedial frameworks. Moreover, films themselves become symbols which are cited and recycled as illustrations of cultural, social, and political history, as well as national mentality. In performative histories, foundational fictions, Anno Kavoyan analyzes the historicity as well as the intertextual and intermediality of film reception, as she focuses on a cycle of Finnish family dramas, or Finnish family melodrama, and its key role in the thinking about gender, sexuality, nation, and history. Sounds like it could be, that's a mouthful there. It's analyze the historicity as well as the intertextuality and intermediality. Too much to hope for, I think, to be silence. No, it looks like 50s, I think. 40s, so 30s, 40s, 50s, and even up to 70s, so, or even later. But oh well, could be interesting, but sounds like it's too film study academic. Oh, this is a very heavy book. Oh, I was so pleased to get this. This is so nice. It's really, really heavy as well. It's about 3 times the weight you'd expect. More usefully employed. Amelia B. Edwards, writer, traveler, and campaigner for ancient Egypt. Brenda A. Moon. Egypt Exploration Society, 2006. It's occasional publication number 15. And it's basically Amelia P. Edwards. She's written some fantastic ghost stories. And she actually started the Egyptian Exploration Society. And yeah, this will be amazing to read. So yeah, this is, like, other than the film books and a few others, like those, that is a choice one for me. Oh yeah, this is kind of interesting. We'll go up here somewhere around, well, whenever that gets reorganized. So these are my film, books about books, sort of, and periodicals, periodical history, newspapers and stuff like that. Studies in newspaper. This is called Studies in Newspaper and Periodical History. It's 1995 annual, so I'll have to look at that. But edited by Michael Harris and Tom O'Malley. It is Greenwood Press, 1997. It is sort of earlier stuff. It's, I guess, yeah, it's an annual that they put out every year, Studies in Newspaper and Periodical History. So this is the 1995 annual. So it's a series of essays. number one is, or probably talks, it probably was, locating the serial, some ideas about the position of the serial in relation to the 18th century print culture. Sons of Number two, Sons of Liberty and Their Silent Sisters, ladies' magazines and women's self representation in the early republic. Three, this is the 18th century. Still, the world of Edward Moore and the world of the English parson. And then they go to the 19th century and 20th century. And sources for newspaper periodical. So that'll be quite interesting, those essays or lectures or whatever they happen to be. This one sort of threw me when I first read this, because it's called A Hollywood Darling, Brittany T. Noring. Kind of a striking cover. On May 2nd, 1935, Roseanne Cartwright, an 11-year-old child of the Great Depression, was signed into America's most prestigious motion picture studios, Bailey Banks and Wilberforce, also known as BBW. I think they're going, huh? What the hell is that? Solely focused on the welfare of her parents and brother, Roseanne soon became the breadwinner for her family and the victim of 8 long years of sexual abuse from her agent, Barney Wilberforce. It's a novel. It's a sort of self-published novel. It hasn't even been read. Whether it's going to be any good is another question. You can see there's the printing style of it, but it is cloth. I might attempt it someday, but I'm not sure. Okay. Publisher I like, Scarecrow Press, I think it is, 1983, Star Myths, Show Business Biographies on Film, Robert Milton Miller. It's a listing of films of, that was it, Star Myths, Show Business Biographies on Film, I guess, yeah. So that could be interesting. Good reference. Another John Romer with his wife. The Seven Wonders of the World, A History of the Modern Imagination. It's a striking cover. It's got a price in here of £8. Is that £85 or £8.50? I think. Written in pencil. This is Michael Mayer Books. 1995. The Seven Wonders of the Ancient World symbolize all that was magnificent and mysterious in the pre-Christian West. Yet today many people would have difficulty in naming them. Most of these 7 grand monuments of bronze and marble, gold and ivory, earth, fire and water cannot be visited today except in the mind's eye. Either they lie in ruins or they have vanished in the sands of time. In this remarkable book, the archaeologists John and Elizabeth Romer, she was an archaeologist as well, know nothing about her, create images of the great wonders using the words of ancient writers and modern archaeological techniques. They tell their story and place them in the world that is now lost. That's could be quite interesting. I not read this book. They did the rape of Tutankhamun as well together. I have that, I think, or it's in this pile. I'm not sure. It might be the only one I'm missing. Here's another one of those really fabulous Thames and Hudson's Peoples and Places. Or, no, what's the full title? Ancient People and Places. This is The Cave Artist by Anne Svenking. It's got a Ex Libris sticker in it, so this clearly wasn't a review copy. But it is, yeah, it's one of those, it's the later ones. It's a huge series. Glenn Daniel, yeah, there it is, was the series editor. This is Thames and Hudson, 1979. Started sometime, I think, in the 50s. I forget, there's 100 and some, or is it 200 and some titles? They used to be smaller, and then, not that small, but about that size, I guess, yeah. And then they went in the 70s. I think there was a hiatus, and then they restarted them with new editions. But I love them. And the paintings of Altamira were found 100 years ago. This was the first discovery of the mural art of Paleolithic man, and since then many more decorated caves have been found in southern France and northern Spain. There has been, and still is, much speculation as to the purpose of this artistic activity on the part of our prehistoric ancestors. This book puts the modern point of view, deriving in part from the revolution in cave art studies brought about by the French archaeologist Leroy Guérin during the past decade, and explains the evolution of past and present theories on the subject, as cave art takes the form mainly of naturalistic renderings of animals executed to a very high standard. Developments of style are an important factor, and Svenking concentrates on stylistic analysis of both its chronological implications and its intrinsic interest in addition. She places the artists in their archaeological setting and discusses the social background to their creative activity. Her book can claim to provide a clear introduction to cave art and mural art in the open air, and in detailed analysis of the problems it presents, while at the same time examining the characteristic features of the most important works. Well, it should be Cave Artists of Europe, because there's a lot in Africa and southern Africa area that are, and just normal rock paintings that are just fantastic. There's quite a few books I want to get on that, but that's another story. I wasn't lucky enough to get these. Nice looking book. David and Charles, I think it is. Small little book. Nice, colorful. Curious Country Customs. Jeremy Hobson. Yeah, David and Charles. It's a late one. Yeah, 2007. And yeah, it's just a little description of each of the sort of custom days. So yeah, nice little thing to look at. Nothing special. Here's another Pamela Horn one. I think this is part of that series that we saw a while ago. It's Sutton. It's a new one. It's Pamela Horn, The Rise and Fall of the Victorian Servant. It could be part of that. So yeah, it's as an increasingly affluent society, Victorian England measured social acceptability in terms of the number of servants kept by a household. It is perhaps unsurprising then that this frequently overlooked and by nature unobtrusive body of workers actually formed the largest occupational group in the country. Taking into consideration the most recent research into the subject, Pamela Horn, in this revised and updated edition of her highly acclaimed study, investigates fully the lifestyle of the Victorian domestic servant. So yeah, so it's got lots of photographs, illustrations throughout. Yeah, Sutton is, even after Alan Sutton left, it went down a little bit, but it's still pretty good. It was first published 1975, so he would have still been there, and this is 86 and 90. So second printing of the revised edition, 1990. Oh, here we go. Another great film book. Lion of Hollywood, The Life and Legend of Louis B. Mayer. Biography by Scott Eyman. I think I actually got 2 copies of this, I think. This is Robson Books. Oh, it's not discolored yet, which is good. Robson Books. Boom, boom. 2005. This definitive biography of Louis B. Mayer, the legendary head of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, the biggest and most successful film studio of Hollywood's golden age, is as compelling as the films he made. An immigrant from Tsarist Russia, Mayer began in the film business as an exhibitor, but soon migrated to where the action and the power was, Hollywood. Through sheer force of energy and foresight, well, that's one way to put it, he turned his own modest studio into MGM, where he became the most powerful man in Hollywood, bending the film business to his will. He made great films, including the fabulous MGM musicals, and he made great stars, Garbo, Gable, Garland, and dozens of others. Through the enormous successful Andy Hardy series, Mayer purveyed family values in America. At some time, he used his influence to place federal judges on the bench. Oh, wouldn't be surprised. To pay off elected officials, cover up his stars, indiscretions, and occasion arrange marriages for gay stars. Mayer rose from his impoverished childhood to become, at one time, the highest paid executive in America. So that should be pretty good. It's quite hefty. It's 600 pages almost. I'm pretty sure there's 2 of these for some reason. Here's another one of those, Ancient Peoples and Places. A History of Mexican Archaeology, A Varnish Civilization of Middle America by Ignacio Bernal. So the back is just plain Thames and Hudson logo. Thames and Hudson, 115 illustrations. Translated by the Spanish by Ruth Mallet. This is 1980. Just looking at the time here. Yeah, we're fine. Professor Bernal recounts the story of centuries-long bid to unravel the mystery presented by the pre-Columbian peoples of Mexico. Who were they? How did they live? Excuse me. And what was the secret of their remarkable achievements? He examines anew the records of their Spanish conquerors and the accounts of early European travelers and antiquaries who investigated the enigmatic monuments the Indians left to posterity. He shows further how the interpretation of these monuments by later investigators has been rendered all but more difficult by the often fanciful speculations of their predecessors. The inaccessibility of the sites and the damage inflicted by the conquistadors and missionaries who considered such edifices fit only for destruction. It was not until toward the end of the 19th century that work was done by the new archaeologists, men like John Lloyd Stevens, Edward Seller, and Alfred P. Maudsley, and by institutions such as the Peabody Museum of Harvard University, which led a more reliable um, assessment of the data available, a process which required true scientific status with the application of statistical analysis. Once the national aspirations of Mexican archaeologists were allowed full reign in the fields up to now, hitherto exploited by outsiders, they made significant contributions to the modern methods of examination. For, in the words of the author, quote, Mexican archaeology is for the foreign no more than an academic exercise in the satisfaction of intellectual curiosity, but it is part of the Mexican's past, part of his very life. I had a chance to go on an excavation in, I think it was Costa Rica. Is it Costa Rica? Somewhere down there, but I didn't. Wow, there were a lot of missed opportunities. Let's put it that way. I took other opportunities, so we'll have to see. Oh, this is quite interesting. I think Noah had a copy of this. He showed on Instagram. So I've already got the. Well, it's not Stephen Moore. I forget the other one that I started reading with Amy at Dusty Bookshelf and Hannah Books, and I've just sort of had to leave it. But History of the Novel. This is another one, another honkin' big thing by Stephen Moore. The novel, An Alternative History, 1600 to 1800. So he's only going up to 1800 with this. This is Bloomsbury, 2013. Oh, I'll have to look for. It says here, having excavated the world's earliest novels in his previous book, literary historian Stephen Moore produces in the sequel the remarkable flowering of the novel between year 1600 and 1800, from Don Quixote to America's first big novel, on homage to Cervantes, entitled Modern Chivalry. This is the period of such classic novels as Tom Jones, Candide, and Dangerous Liaisons. But beyond the dozen or so recognized classics, there are hundreds of other interesting novels that appeared then, known only to specialist Spanish picaresques, French heroic romances, massive Chinese novels, Japanese graphic novels, eccentric English novels, and the earliest American novels. The novel experienced an explosive growth spurt during these centuries as novelists experimented with different forms of genres: epistolary novels, romances, gothic thrillers, novels in verse, parodies, science fiction, episodic road trips, and family sagas, along with quirky, unclassifiable experiments in fiction that resemble contemporary avant-garde works. In the most comprehensive history of this period ever written, Moore examines over 400 novels from around the world in a lively style that is entertaining and is informative. This sequel, like its predecessor, is a zestful, encyclopedic, avidly opinionated, and dazzlingly fresh history of the most elastic of literary forms. And that's a quote from Booklist. So, yeah, he's done what's... here we go. The novel and alternative beginnings to 1600. And I wonder if he's done one after that. I'll have to look at this, 2010. So anyway, that's, that's... That looks quite interesting in not in comparison, but in companion to the other one. And then I got the Columbia History of the British novel. So, and yeah, definitely you'll have to look for the prequel to this. Anyway, that is it. I think we can do the rest in 2 more videos. They might be a bit long. But yeah, I think 2 more videos should do it. I'm just looking at the piles. And that should be it. So that's 10 videos. Anyway, thank you, BookTube. I will see you tomorrow.